Sports Card Podcast, where we tackle the hobby's hottest topics in depth to help you navigate the sports card landscape and enjoy the hobby we all love. Here's your host, John Newman.
All right, time for another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Today's episode is going to be different, at least I think so. It's pertaining to the year of card robberies and burglaries. And we're going to kind of cover some of those events that happened and also talk about ways that you can protect your cards, even in your own house, whether you're a store owner or just have the cards in your home location. Some things you can do to maybe prevent a theft or burglary from occurring. And so whether you believe cards are an investment or not an investment, that's a debate that could rage on for years. We're not going to have that debate here. One thing that you cannot deny is that cards are an asset allocation, and there's value there. I mean, that's why these burglaries and robberies are occurring. I'll even take you back to my store days. I had a store from 92 to 97. And in 1994, we usually left about, at the end of each day, me and my partner Angelo will leave about $20 in the cash register. And for change the next day, and 10 ones, a 5, or 10 or 2 5, something like that, about $20. Other than that, we kind of cashed out and divvied up the funds that way. And about 2 years into the store, there were days where one of us may not be there that day, and so the other one would. It was worked out good where, I had to do something or couldn't be there. We kind of had our days off or kind of our schedule. Well, Angelo called me first thing in the morning when he got there, and the first thing he said, John, we got robbed. And so here I'm thinking, all the cards are gone, all the wax cases, boxes, they just cleaned us out. This is terrible. And not knowing, what to expect next. And then he followed that up by saying, but they only took the $20 out of the register that we had for change for each day. So they had no interest in the cards or the wax packs at the time. So we figured it was someone who just needed the money, obviously, for whatever. We had our theories to that. They didn't break the glass. They just broke the lock on the door and came in. They didn't even break the register. It wasn't the greatest of cash registers. They just jimmied it open and still worked, but they took that $20 and hightailed it out of there. So we were out $20, $10 for me, $10 for Angelo, and we had to buy a new lock for the door. If my memory serves me correctly, that was about $20 too. So cost us about $20 each, but it could have been a lot worse. And what we're seeing this year in stores and even in home situations is worse. And then just going back to the store, I got out in 97 after about 5 years. And 6 months after I got out, I left on good terms with my partner. He called me up, one day about 6 months later, and he said, "Did you hear?" And I said, "No." "Did I hear what?" And he goes, "The store got broken into last night. They robbed it. Except this time, unfortunately, they broke the front window, and they took a good chunk of cards and other stuff. It wasn't just money." And actually, he never reopened. We had insurance. I don't know all the details with it because I wasn't involved directly with the store no more, but had insurance and just decided that would be the end of the store for him, and that was the end that that store. And this is 1997. Times, years may change, but things remain the same somewhat. And anything that has value is always at a risk to get taken, stolen. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it is, and unfortunately, that's the way it's always going to be. So I'm going to go through. I did a little research for this episode. And these are just the ones I could find. I'm sure there's more, unfortunately. But these are the ones that were made public. These are all burglaries or robberies of card store, unless I note otherwise. So, January 5th, Newark, Ohio, a store. And I won't mention the names. You can probably figure it out or look it up if you need to. January 5th, Newark, Ohio. A robbery which took $15,000 worth of merchandise from that store. Also in January, in Cleveland, Ohio, a home burglary resulted in $8,000 worth of, I believe, vintage cards being taken. February 20th, in Keene, New Hampshire, an undisclosed amount of merchandise was robbed from a store. Going to May 3rd in Salina, Kansas, $3K was taken from that card store. June 15th, Calgary, Alberta, Canada, an undisclosed amount was taken from that store. On June 9th, 6 days before that, in Utah, $200K was stolen worth of merchandise from a store there. So $1/5 of $1 million in that heist, if you will. June, I'm not going in exact order. June 1st, in Frisco, Texas, a store was burglarized for an undisclosed amount of sports cards and memorabilia. July 4th, Fayetteville, North Carolina, an undisclosed amount of sports card related items was taken from that store. November 13th, Ferndale, Washington, $18,000 taken worth of merchandise taken from that store. And those are just the reported or what I could find by doing research. I'm sure, unfortunately, there are other stories, especially on probably the home level or personal level as well. And, it can happen to anyone. It's happened to me personally. It's something I can attest to. And, I worry about the stuff I have here, potentially. Like I always tell my, what can you do? Well, I'm going to try to give you some pointers. I'm not a security expert per se, but, I make a point to tell my son, don't advertise what's here ever, at all, to anyone, even someone and get along with. You just don't know who's listening. They tell somebody, and you make it known. I do a lot of online sales and even local sales, and I never have someone come to the house to make a purchase. I'll meet them somewhere when we've agreed on a deal, unless I absolutely know the person. So there are people, I've done this a long time, that know me on that level, and I have them here. But I really know them super well. I mean, they're friends. They're not even acquaintances. And so I rarely have someone over here, without knowing them very well. I have cameras. That's another recommendation. Cameras and security systems have come down in price so much from when they first came out. When cameras and home security systems first came out, they were always in the 4-digit price tag, $1,000, $1,200, and it was expensive. And now they're cheap. I mean, there's a lot of cameras that are $30, $40. USB, they're wireless. They run on lithium batteries. and there are various levels, to what they can do and what they connect to. And I have them here. I have a camera right here in the studio office where I have a majority of my cards in my inventory. Sometimes I'll post on social media pictures from that camera, maybe of me, working on the podcast, and I'll use, some still shots from that camera to create, Twitter feeds or Instagram feeds and that. I have cameras on the outside of my house, in my driveway, out back, and on the front of my house, just to see what's going on. And, when we talk about robberies, and burglaries with card stores, we also forget, how about, if you get stuff delivered on a daily basis, and I get probably on average 3 to 5 packages a day, mostly sports cards, but some other things too. My wife orders some stuff. My son is into vinyl records. He orders some stuff. And so we have a lot of packages that get delivered. They either get delivered, put on the back deck or the front porch. I got cameras on both of those areas. You've heard the term porch pirates, people who come by, swipe and grab something, jump back in their vehicle and take off. And so I've got cameras on both of those locations. Knock on glass, I haven't had that happen, but those cameras are there just in case something like that was to occur. Again, I have cameras inside and then definitely in the studio office here where I have the majority of my cards. And so, there's things you can do. I mean, there's other alternatives. I know some folks that, some of their really, really expensive cards, and highly recommended. You get a safe deposit box at your bank, and you keep them off site in a safe deposit box in a vault, in a bank vault. Can't get much safer than a bank vault. And so that's an option if you have really, really, really expensive stuff. Insurance, contact, if you're a home, even if you're a renter. I was going to say if you're a homeowner, but irregardless, if you're a homeowner, if you're a renter, check your insurance, call your insurance company, tell them, hey, I have some card assets, some card inventory here that I'd like to insure. Most of them can do a rider, an add-on, to your policy. There are card insurance companies now that specialize in just insuring your precious inventory. Plenty of those. You can just Google, sports card insurance. There's more than one. Shop around. If you're an LCS, you know this. You already really have to have insurance, and in case anyone, trips in your store and crashes head first through your showcase, so you have to have injury and liability stuff. But you definitely want to insure your inventory and single cards and your sealed wax and all that in the store. But also, in the store as well, obviously a lot of these insurance plans have deductibles that can get expensive just the same. I know some store owners that take some of their huge cards, their graded mantles or things on that level, whatever they classify as, expensive cards, 4-digit, 5-digit value cards. Every day they take them home each night and kind of bring them back to work with them and place them back out in the showcases. Now, I got to be honest with you, I never did that with my store, but it was we're talking 2 decades ago. So it's a different time period. Values are even more money on many cards. And I'm a little leery of even doing that, because then you're a target. If you leave the store and someone has kind of scoped the place out or how you operate each day, and they see you leave with a shoebox or a messenger bag or a briefcase, and they figure out, the 5 cards that are $15,000 each in your store in that bag, you're definitely a very unsafe target, because they can do you bodily harm or worse, and take that merchandise and those cards away. And it's sad to say, but people do really terrible things when it comes to dollar signs. And I would probably not be something I would do. I would just make sure I had all my security, insurance, and camera systems in my card store, so I don't have to lug things home and really put myself at risk. If a bad guy determines, hey, like he leaves every night with $200,000 worth of cards in his briefcase, that's a bad thing waiting to happen. And so I wouldn't recommend that. I do know people who do it. I've told them my thoughts on that, just as I've said them on here. But that's their choice. And so, I would definitely have some sort of security system in place on a store level. We're even seeing daylight robberies on some of those that I mentioned. We're seeing, one of those incidents, someone smashed a car through the door to break in, got out, robbed the place, and then jumped in another car to make a getaway. And the car that they used for the smash and grab was a stolen car. So harder to figure out, who's involved in that. And so, as these cards, as we see them, with the hobby booming and doing well, these cards are going up in value tremendously. And, it's making, here's the other thing, it's becoming regular news. The hobby boom this year has been on regular broadcasts, CNBC, regular news channels, and regular slots. And so more people are being made aware of the significant values of it. And then when you look at 2020 being a pandemic year and people out of work, people have a lot of downtime, me and you, if we have some downtime, we get creative with it, right? We do some projects we have to get to, maybe organize our cards, right? Other people who aren't on the up and up with downtime, that just gives them more time to scheme and figure out bad criminal activity. And so in 2020, we've seen these burglaries and robberies increase. And so if you care about your cards, and it took you how many years to build up the inventory you have, I hate to see it all in one day come crashing down. When you hear about people losing collections in fires and floods, and that's obviously terrible too. But when it comes to money and things that are worth money, unscrupulous people are going to do unscrupulous things, and it's been like that from the beginning of time, and it's not going to change. And in a time where people may be a little bit down on the luck, I think you see crime rates go up, and so including theft and burglary. And so, protect your cards. You spent many years to amass that collection. I hate to see it all come crashing down in one day. Sort of a different episode today. Let me know what you think about it, yay or nay. But I definitely wanted to touch on what's going on, in the seedier side of sports cards as well. So we'll see you in a week. Thanks for listening. Take care. Be well. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. They give you the tools that are needed to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And they distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast. It's why I use it and why you should too. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Hey folks, thanks for listening to the show. Wanted to give out our social media links where you can follow the show even when you're not listening to it. On Twitter, we are at Hits Hobby, HitsHobby, HITSHOBBY. On Instagram, we are at Hobby Quick Hits Podcast, at Hobby Quick Hits Podcast, all one word. Our website is www.sportscardnation.net. Look for the link to Hobby Quick Hits. You'll find us there. And you can always text us on our text line, area code 315-491-0239.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.